Okay, before I proceed to React axios, I'm gonna talk about the course and a proxy so that you can use axios better. So again, we're gonna use this example from the first class of React scaffold. So we have an example like this, and now we come to the source code folder. So instead of using these two components, I'm gonna get rid of this and simply put a button here called this.get data. Click me. This dot get data. Right. So obviously this button will retrieve some data from somewhere. So first I need to talk about React Ajax. So React does not only control DOMs and UI of web page. It has no Ajax functions, right? So you can either encapsulate Ajax yourself or using third-party plugin or libraries when you want to use Ajax in React. So axios is most popular one. So when you want to retrieve some data from like either a file or from server, local file or server, you need axios to do it. So right here, I'm gonna just import axios from axios. If you want to use it, we need to install axios. While it is installing, we come back this and get this finish this function. So simply put axios.get and URL here. And this method will return promise object. So to deal with the return data, we can display it size and the res data. Well, generally we need to add another error handler, right? So we resolve and reject. So in this case, I would just escape that. So it is not that important. So back to terminal. So axios has already been installed successfully. So right here, as you can see, I have prepared 2 example links. Now I'm gonna retrieve some JSON data from this URL. Yep, button says click me. When I click this button, it says has been blocked by course policy. So now we need to talk about the course. To get data, right? Course. Course is cross origin resource sharing mechanism is a sharing is a mechanism of browser. So this is a mechanism of browser to this allow or restrict different origin resource loaded on the page. So what is different origin? What is origin? Origin is equal to scheme or protocol, which is HTTPS plus domain name, youtube.com, google.com, and part number. This is the origin. So either of these three atoms is different. Like if suppose http .8.com. So if this is if the domain name is port number is same and the protocol is HTTPS, so this is different origin. And if this is B, the com, this is different origin. If it's 80, so it's different origin. So browser restrict the resource from different origin to be loaded on the page because of the browser restrict it because of security purpose. For example, in this case, for Ajax action, right? For example, sending requests to remote server or a different origin will attach cookie on it, which contains sensitive information, right? So imagine you send a request, you send a request with the cookie and the different origin, get the cookie, get the sensitive information, and after that you load some script on your page. It will lead to some web attack, right? So some evil code, and it will steal something from you. And so this is the why the course is existing in the browser, but it only browser, not a rule of server. So it only exists in the browser. Actually, you are able to send a request, but you cannot display the content on the page, right? So, but from the server, if you send requests from server, you have no restrictions anymore. I mean, you have no CORS restriction. So use proxy to avoid CORS policy. CORS. Like I said, how it works, why the proxy can avoid CORS error, because proxy will start a macro server to send the request, then display the data from different origin on the front end, right? So actually, so basically this proxy just set a macro server to do so. So that's also the reason why a proxy can avoid this cross origin error. So now how do we use the proxy? There are two ways. The first one is configure package.json file. First is we come to this package.json. Let's go to the bottom of this file, and we just simply add proxy. And this is the destination URL. So okay. Proxy package.json. So proxy destination, not exactly URL, only the origin, means protocol domain name and port number. So after that, since we send the request from the local server, right, from the proxy, it's just same as we send a request from the backend. So it means that the request, the origin of the current origin should be our localhost. So which is, in this case, it is localhost 3000. Host 3000. So axios.get URL should be localhost, local origin, right? Because you don't request the data from the remote server from different origin. You request data from your macro server, which is run by a proxy. So should be local origin. It is the address of macro server run by proxy. Right. So let's go back to this. Right. We click this button. As you can see here, the error message has changed. It's not a course policy anymore. It's for not found. Just because we have this error message, just simple because each time if you changed or modified the package.json file, you need to restart the server. You need to restart the server. So okay, I click this button again. Yeah, success, and the data has been retrieved from different origin through proxy, right? So this is the first way, method 1. So suppose we have method 2. The method 2 is to set up proxy.js. Why we need this one? Because in this method, in this way, to configure proxy.json, we can only add one different origin here. So if you have multiple destination addresses, you have multiple servers, you have multiple different origins which you want to send requests to, then this one is not gonna work. So you need another setup proxy.js file to configure that entirely, right? It's completely. So in this case, I'm just gonna delete this, right? So okay, so first we need to create src folder, source code folder, and set up proxy.js. Set up proxy.js. We don't need this component, so I just delete this, right? So now we open this file. Let's set up proxy. Yeah, how do we use this? Just configure set up proxy.js. So because this is a file running in the backend, because this is the proxy gonna start a server, a micro server to send a request. So this is a file gonna be run in the backend. So we cannot use the like React syntax or JavaScript, ECMAScript syntax and more. Instead, we use CommonJS, which is Node.js, which is the standard of the backend of the server, a language of backend, right? So require HTTP proxy and a middleware, right? So module.export.function apt use. In this app.use method, we can put as many proxy as we want. So proxy, the first argument is API1. I'm going to talk about this in detail later. And the second is the target. We give it a URL and target change origin. We set it true and path rewrite. This gonna accept an object. The first one is skip API1 and replace it with empty string. Right. So this is the API1. We want another proxy. So proxy 2. API1 URL, API2 true. Just carefully check if there is an error here or not. Why there is an error? Shouldn't. Proxy. Okay. Okay, perfect. So the URL as I have already prepared this, right? So in this case, again, we don't need the whole URL, right? So we just use the destination or region. We just put destination 1 here and destination 2. Okay. And based on the same logic, when we set the request, first I'm gonna add a new. So get data again. Click me get data again. Get data again. Right, so it should be localhost 3 and as you can see here, these are two totally different origins, right? So first one is HTTP and the second one is HTTPS. But when we send the request, we use the local server running on the proxy. So exactly same address should be HTTP, just exactly same address here. HTTP dot localhost 3000. And remember that we need to trigger this. We need to trigger this proxy. So we have API 1, API 2. Okay, so okay, let's take a look. Let's just start a server for the moment. Again. Oh, seems like there is a error or something. Okay, click. Oh, get the data. Yep. Oh, okay, so different data, different origin, different, everything's different, right? So we send requests to 2 different servers. So now it's time to explain the detail of this, right? So configure set up proxy. So okay. I just copy this. All right. Right. So first one, API 1 trigger proxy to run whenever meet the API 1 start using proxy. Target is the destination origin, right? And change origin true. Set request header host. In the header, there is a host field or host value as destination address. In this case, it is target address. Or you can also change origin force. Set request header host value current address. So in this case, it is local host 3000, right? And HTTP. So in default, change origin is false. Generally, we'd like to change it to true. Right. So maybe you don't want you just want to set it as default. So in most cases it doesn't really matter, but generally we want to set up this to true. It is a better practice, right? But this one is path redirect. Change replace API 1 to empty string to make request URL reasonable, right? You cannot, this is must. So you cannot just send a request with API 1, right? Because this remote server different origin. Remote servers cannot recognize what is the meaning of the API 1 or API 2, right? So you need to replace it with empty string eventually, so that when it's sent to the remote server, it can just get the data correctly. So the last thing is comparison. So first method, so package.json configuration pro easy configuration. No need to send request with prefix. Not be able to add multiple proxies. So b.setup proxy.js pros able to send multiple requests to different servers. Be able to control if proxy is used, right? So if you want to use it, you can just don't you just get rid of the API 1, API 2, so you don't trigger that, right? So const complex configuration must send request with prefix. Okay, so I think it depends on you. It depends on what use case you are facing. Sometimes you just want to send some remote send request to the remote origin, which is a single origin, or right, you have to send request to. So you just pick this one, the first one. But if you have multiple servers, you have different requests to send to different origins, and then you need to set up this. Maybe you cannot remember all of this, but it doesn't really matter, because each project, each React project, the configuration should be only once. So once when you use it, you know how it works, and you copy paste the code here. That will be totally fine. You don't have to remember all of them by heart. So yeah, this is pretty much about the course and proxy. And next class we're gonna talk about the React Axios.